want to do is I'm just going to break down how I recorded a friend of mine called Adam Jenkins. At the end of the video there'll be a link to his profile on YouTube, and I'll have a link for his Facebook page in the comments or in the section, the description below this video down there. So what I'm going to do is just jump into the session, and I'm just going to play a little bit of the track for you to have a listen to, and I'm just going to talk about how everything was recorded and how it all works as a mix. So this is the track that let's first play now.
I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't. I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't. Just as long as I got my guitar, soothe my soul. She don't need no diamond ring.
Okay, so what we're listening to at the moment is we're actually listening to the mix bus. So this is the actual mix as it's playing through Pro Tools at the moment. I played this to my dad over Christmas, and his first response was he didn't actually believe that everything, all the sounds that were happening were live. He thought we'd gone in and overdubbed bits and pieces. I can assure you everything was live, even though the amp that we're using and like the pedals are out of shot. I'll just talk a little bit through that and break it down. So in total there are 8 tracks. I've got 2 tracks on the guitar amp. That'll just be like my usual setup would be the Audio Technica 4040, which I'm actually talking to at the moment, and then there'll be a 57 right next to it, and I normally just place that kind of close to the center of the mic. Just have a listen to that first of all. So this is the track. So how that was recorded is I put that amp out in the corridor out of the live room just because it's quite loud, and I just wanted a little bit of separation. I mean, bleed is really good, but I just wanted a bit of separation from the amplifier itself, from the acoustic, just so it was a bit easier to pick up a couple of different just get a bit more definition on the acoustic and not be completely overpowered by the amp. With Adam's guitar setup, I think he's got a microphone on the inside of his guitar, and then he's got the pickup, which you can see. He's got that. So there's a little pickup on the sound hole as well. So there's a combination that he actually plugs into, and that goes into an orange pedal, which has 2 inputs, so you can kind of run the 2 off together at the same time. And then the pickup goes out into the amp. So it's the pickup that we're listening to with this going into a Mesa amp. I think it was a Mesa amp, to double check. The other thing that I did as well is, because it was out in the corridor, I chucked up a mic in the corridor. So I'll just bring that in now. So 15. Bring that back down. So yeah, it's generally like what I'll tend to do for like things like this, and because it's quite a vibey, you're looking for quite, I don't know, I don't want it all to be very, very close. I want to get some of the room, the character, and the corridor is quite reverberant and it's quite loud, so it actually sounds quite nice. So the 3 together then. Probably notice as well that I actually mic'd the corridor microphone is actually on the left, and the actual amps themselves pretty much slap bang in the middle. The reason for that as well is what it was effectively, I think I put it directly behind the camera in the opposite corner, is I've got a room mic. So this will sound a little bit different to the corridor mic because it's in the live room. It's a bit deader. And you're getting a lot more of the acoustic sound as well. So the other thing is I left the door open for the corridor, so we've got a bit of a balance of everything. So that's actually really what we're hearing. I'll do as well. So that is just the room setup. So that's the guitar amp, and that is the rooms that we have. So you can hear a bit of the vocals, a bit of the guitars. So they give overall balance. Actually quite a nice sound in that room. Everything combined. Next thing that we have, I'm just going to bring the reverbs down to the bottom. The next thing then is the acoustic for the Titan. I recorded Adam about, oh God, it must have been about 6 years ago now, my old studio in OPEC Studios. There is a playlist which I'll link to, and it's a very, very similar setup. And it was actually when he just started doing the percussive technique that he does. So what he's doing, he's actually slapping the guitar with like the body of the guitar with his thumb, and I think he wears a plaster on it because he hits it so hard. So when we mic it up, it's not a normal technique that I'd set up, but I've got this Titan, SE Titan, which is I use quite a lot on kick drum and bass amps. It does like the low end thing really, really well. Really. Pretty similar to like a U47 FET for very little money. It's one of the first mics I bought. I got it for pretty cheap. And that is basically just pointing it just below the sound hole, kind of towards where he's hitting the guitar. So it's looking just for the percussive sound. So I just play that to you now. So it's picking up a lot of the low end. I'm getting bleed from the vocals. I'm not really too worried about it because it is a live performance. It doesn't really matter too much. And then if we can look at the opposite side, so then I've got my other large diaphragm condenser, which is a SE Z5600. It's a multi-pattern valve mic. I think it was in figure of 8. I can't really remember. But this is actually just what I normally do is I point it just below. It's kind of like the underneath the neck of the guitar, to the bottom of the corner of the body of the guitar. That's normally like my starting point for acoustics as well. So that is, I'm looking at this and then for more of the the string noise, the strumming, and like more of the actual fundamental sound of the guitar, and a bit less of the percussive sound. So you still get it because obviously he hits it. Put the two together. I'll bring in the room. And the corridor. Okay, the next thing then is we've got the pedal. So I've got the acoustic inside. So there's the mic inside the pedal. I didn't actually take the DI from the orange pedal has two outputs. They're both XLR. So there's one of the basically I just plugged an XLR straight into the wall box, and that went into one of my SSL mic pre's. And so I'll quick listen to that. I'm not using too much of it. But it does sound really nice as well. Bring that back down to where it was. So at the moment we got pretty much all the mics open except the vocals, so we're getting a bit of the bleed, but then with the mix that I've done, obviously there is still the vocal to kind of come in. So Shure Beta 57, it's a good live mic. I've used it in the hall a couple of times for live vocals. It sounds good. It does sound good.
I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't.
What have we got on this?
I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't. Just as long as I got my guitar, soothe my soul. She don't need no dime.
So on the vocals, I've actually gone Summit audio channel on console 1. So the compressor is kind of like an LA2A. and then the equalizer is quite broadband, it's like a valve EQ. Done a little bit of drive on it as well. So again, what we've got on this, I've got a Summit audio compressor, and then I've also got the Teletronix LA2A Silver. Both more or less do the same thing. No idea what I was doing with that, but still.
I don't need no fancy.
Yeah, they're both feathering.
No, I don't. I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't.
Let's bring everything else back in.
Just as long as I got. She don't need no diamond. No, she don't. She don't need no diamond.
So without the amps, it's like there's a pretty decent balance between just the acoustic mics and the interior mic. What you notice is when you bring the amp in, take the vocal out, you're missing. It almost like drops down below.
I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't.
And then the final thing that I actually did on this is then I just looked at a couple of different rooms. So if we look at here, I've got room, I've got SAR, and I've got a reverb. So the room mics are actually going to, so look, they're all backwards here. So room mics are going to it's that Avid Space plugin, and it does like impulse responses. So there's one that I quite like, which is this Concrete Stairwell. And let's just have a look, and I'll just solo them. Bring these up, and I'm just going to set them in pre-fade, so when I mute everything else, all you will hear is the reverb signal. Room, mute. So this is basically the signal, like it's these two. This is something I sometimes do with drums. Actually, I'll send the room mics out into another like chamber or something like this. That's probably it's quite washy, but might be partly because I've gone pre-fade. Let's change that one as well. So
My guitar, soothe my soul.
and that's a blend of the two together. And then I've done another reverb on a different reverb for the acoustic mics, which is TSAR. And this is kind of like, this is Softube, so like algorithmic root processors. It's kind of like, well, I guess like a Lexicon 224 or something would be like. Again, I'm just actually, I could probably solo off this SSL, so I'm on 13 and 14, which is 7. So don't use any of that. The other two are muted. So we're getting a bit more of the percussive sound. And I'll bring in the acoustic as well, which is 5 and 6, and I'll mute the... Oh no, that one's coming through as well. So I'll bring in 5 and 6, which is... So that's the two together. So it's not like overpowering. They're just kind of there just to kind of sit underneath and bring everything together. And then the final one then is just I've set up a vocal reverb as well. And this one is a little plate. Well, love how I just surprised myself. I really like little plate. I was like, when it first came out, it was a free plugin by Softube. Occasionally they'll sell it for like something like $10 or something. I think they usually go for $99. It's one of those ones where there's like very, very few knobs, very few little things to actually like mess up. And this is pretty much, other than putting the modulation on and doing the low cut, that's more or less a default setting. And all I've done is I've just gone, hey, take out some of the low end off this reverb. And let's have a look at this reverb now, 9 and 10. Yeah. So yeah, that is more or less it. I mean, it's yeah, that was more or less it. Then what happens is when I did the mix down, is it actually goes through the Sigma and through the bus compressor hardware outboard. I then actually record the tracks back in, and I do a little bit of like analog processing, which is a harmonic distortion. It's like a harmonic drive for analog black box designs, HC2, which is based on a 2-unit rack, which a lot of people like, and it just adds a little bit more of like valve niceness and fullness. And then there's a little bit of a Pultec EQ. I haven't gone mad on this session because it was going to because it's going up onto YouTube, and it was more for the showcase stuff, just so what you did live. It's not like a case of we're going to sit down and spend loads of time, and then it's just bit of a bump and a cut on 100, and similar, just being really gentle with the session. And then the final thing that I did is that then goes to another track which I record the limiter on, and I just have like another setting here just to check the overall volume levels with it. So if you want to hear the final version of this track, as I said, have a look on Adam's track. The final thing that I'll do is, if I just give you an idea of what I'll mute the reverbs. If I press Shift A, now on these selected tracks, what will happen is it disables all the disables all the plugins in Pro Tools. I think this came in I think it's Pro Tools 11, Pro Tools 12. So if you're on 10, it doesn't do this. But Shift A enables and disables all the tracks. What I did just before that is I had our bass on the acoustic on the inside. If I had done that, it would have actually nailed it the second time. So I've command clicked on the R bass, and that's disabled it. So this is what the session sounds like. This is what the tracks sound like when they just recorded. There's no EQ, everything just mic pre's and straight in. More or less, I think it's Audient pre's. Oh no, JDK pre's on the. It doesn't really matter. Who cares? The pre's, they work. It sounds good. Amp.
She don't need no diamond rings. No, she don't. No, she don't. She don't need no diamond rings.
That's everything back on. The other thing I should have mentioned, I completely forgot about. Universal Audio A800 tape machine. I don't use it all that often anymore, but I just thought for this session, because it's like kind of acoustic, it's going for like old school kind of vibe, that I'd probably be able to get away with it. And because again, there's not many tracks, I'm pretty sure that like all my UAD processing, 90% of it is on this, on the Pultec. But let's take that off, yeah. So yeah, it's at least good 2/3 of this session's all the tape machine. And all I've done is, I'm pretty sure actually that if I went through each one, click through, they're all going to be the same settings. And how I worked this out was basically you do open, click on gang control, and then gang control for the A800 controls all the, basically that means it'll control every single open plugin of this version. So then it just means I can just choose one plugin and change it and just saturate to how I like it. So what I'll do is I'll just take this, I'll bypass these on and off.
I don't need no fancy
Set the tracks.
things. No, I don't. I don't need no fancy things. No, I don't. Just as long as I got my
So it's not doing loads. Again, I'm not looking for take back on. I'm not looking for something that's doing tons and tons of like harmonic distortion, saturation. I just wanted something that colours it a little bit. And as I say, it's pretty. It's nothing really too technical. I mean, with Adam, he's a good guitarist anyway, so recording him's easy. All you have to do is just chuck a couple of mics up. 99 times out of 100 it's going to sound good, and if it doesn't, it's probably a cable that's wrong and not Adam or like not the musician. So like it's basically just get out of the way, let him record, and just see how you go. We did 4 songs in total. They're all going up week by week on his Spotify, and they will be in the link in his profile will be linked on the end of this video. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear them. If you like the channel, please subscribe and give me a shout on Facebook Messenger or visit my website. I'd love to hear from you all and see you all again very, very soon.